Hi, man. Peace. So, former world welterweight and junior welterweight champion Paulie Malignaggi, he made an appearance on the Herd with Colin Cowherd. He had a few statements in regards to some of the footage that has been released in the past few days with him sparring CONOR McGregor, as well as some revelations about him possibly fighting Conor in the future. So let's see what he has to say. I mean, first is going to be a little preamble from Christine Malignaggi and Colin Cowherd in regards to the fight. So let's also see what they have to say.
Showtime has declared war on anyone who wants to try to pirate the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight, which I just find very interesting.
So do I. I mean, shit, I'm not trying to pay for that. I want to watch it, but I'm not trying to pay for it. They're trying to shut down the site. You know, that's all right. I already know where I'm going to go. I'm going to wait till about 12:45, maybe 1 a.m., and just go on allthebestfights.com. That's all I'm going to do if they shut down my streaming site.
Because so many people watch these fights on streaming websites or on Periscope or Instagram Live where you don't have to pay for it. So now Showtime is saying they're going to go heavy after these places and even have taken preemptive measures with their legal teams to send notices out to different sites.
Yo, just in watching some of these highlights, man, Floyd is so sharp, man. His punching is so sharp. Like Conor, if Conor has any chance, is that Floyd has aged very quickly, very rapidly in the last 2 years. Maybe he doesn't have as much punch resistance as he once had. Maybe Conor can catch him clean in the jaw and can wobble him and hurt him. That's really Conor's only chance. I mean, if you look at Floyd's I would say maybe his last 4 fights, particularly his last 3, meaning the rematch with Maidana, the Pacquiao fight, and even the Berto fight. There was some moments in those fights where he got a little wobbled, which, I mean, it just shows you how great a fighter he is, that you have to try to pinpoint him being wobbled as a sign of vulnerability. But he is older. He hasn't fought in 2 years. So that's the chance that Conor has. He's gonna have to try to get him early. Because if Floyd gets into his zone, I could see him stopping Conor round 7 or 8. Maybe even sooner. Who knows?
To prevent it from happening. I totally understand it. I don't think it's possible. I think there's definitely going to be sites that you can stream. People are going to Instagram Live. They're going to Periscope.
Yeah, whenever I see that little clip of Floyd doing the Matrix on Canelo Alvarez, I'm always amazed by that shit, man. I mean, he's all the way in punching zone, and he avoids all those punches like he knew that they were coming before they came. I mean, that's just an example of being God gifted.
Scope is going to happen. I don't think it's possible. I think there's definitely going to be sites that you can stream. People are going to Instagram Live. They're going to Periscope.
Look at that shit, man.
Scope is going to happen.
Well, I mean, gosh, look at this. You even see now, like, stuff leaks from HBO and, like, series will leak. And, I mean, there's just every company's got a disgruntled employee. Every company's got somebody that will give you a code or a...
Yeah, and the websites are just so... You can get any...
Everybody always says Floyd has no punching power. He got to be hitting them with something because these guys keep reeling back. Nobody just full-on presses him. Even in the clip that they showed from the Maidana-Mayweather rematch, there were spots in that fight, in that rematch, where Floyd was starting to break him down. That's why Maidana ended up trying to bite through his damn glove and bite his thumb off because he couldn't take those body shots anymore, man. That's what's coming for McGregor.
Any show you want,
yeah,
if you know how to get the right website, and there's enough smart, techie kind of people that can figure it out. I'll be honest, I've asked my brother on occasion, like when I was in Europe, I needed a link to watch a show, and he found it for me. So
he found it for me. I wonder what show did he arrange for you to watch? Was it on heatratemE.com?
So we can do it.
How about that? That's
yeah.
useful to know down the road.
HBO Spain just played the next Game of Thrones by accident, so now that's on the internet.
They did.
Oh, no, I don't want to see. You should see though. It's gotten really good.
I started watching Ozark last night.
The dragons are starting to be used in Game of Thrones, so it's really good now.
Is it? Oh my God. Yo, you know that people make me laugh about that Game of Thrones shit. People are so infatuated with the Game of Thrones. All the Game of Thrones is a whitewashing of the medieval history of so-called black rulership in Europe. That's all it is. That's why people are so infatuated with it. That's what was going on during that time period. Right? A lot of shifting of rulerships, a lot of shifting of control, territorial rights. That's really all the medieval time period is a chronicling of. Is the different nobilities across Europe who are all so-called black, fighting for power, fighting for control. That's all it was. And eventually they got totally destabilized by first by the Renaissance, which precipitated humanism, which precipitated the Reformation, which precipitated a lot of the wars of the 1600s. But that's neither here nor there. Point being, Game of Thrones is all that is a very, very thinly veiled adaptation of the so-called black rulership of medieval Europe.
Now.
Oh, I love dragons.
And we might have found out who's a new king. It's really great.
I cannot wait for that.
And finally, Paulie Malignaggi is saying that if Conor McGregor can hang around with Floyd Mayweather and at least look good, he would consider a fight, but he has to wait and see how this all looks. And he said that he's even thought about St. Patrick's Day as a potential day to fight.
Fight in Dublin.
And I love this because he's saying, I'm going to beat Conor McGregor on his day, on St. Patrick's Day for Ireland. And that's...
These people are so funny. Before Mayweather made the fight with McGregor, the narrative was that Floyd was ducking Conor McGregor. Now as we get closer and closer to the fight, you see how they're trying to diminish and demean McGregor's chances. That shows you that all the liberal sports media does is troll certain athletes. OJ, Tiger Woods, LeBron. Even though, LeBron, I really shouldn't even say the liberal sports media trolls him. I should say Skip Bayless trolls him. At one time they trolled him, but now he's kind of gotten heavily into favor with the liberal sports media because of his stances. So now they pretty much leave him alone. We'll be covering LeBron and his, his so-called social awareness in another video. But Floyd Mayweather, they just troll him relentlessly because he's another one with a ruling class mentality that they don't like.
That's how confident he is. I actually think I would be more interested in watching that fight
I would
than
too.
I am in the Floyd fight.
No, I think Floyd McGregor is going to be boring. But I'd like, just because I think there's...
I think the opposite. I think that Floyd Mayweather's history against Southpaws has shown that in just about every fight that he's fought against a Southpaw, other than Pacquiao, he's come forward, he's been extremely aggressive, and he's gone for the stoppage. Whether it was Sharmbay, Zab Judah, what's this guy's name, Victor Ortiz. Every time he's fought a Southpaw, he's been extremely, extremely aggressive. Right? I believe, what's his name too? Chop Chop was a Southpaw as well.
I think their styles are so weird that I think they're going to feel each other out for 4 rounds. We'll ask Paulie what he thinks.
Did you see Floyd was on Jimmy Kimmel, I believe, last night, and he was talking about how he was changing up his style so that the fans would get a better show. Like he's gonna let Conor hang around.
Oh, really?
That's what he was saying.
Oh boy, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I don't know what to believe. And then you also hear him say a lot of things like, oh, he's going to land a lot of punches, and I'm not in great shape. And I honestly believe that's to sell tickets.
Yes.
Of course it's to sell tickets. You really believe that Floyd Mayweather's not going to be in shape? Who the hell says in the middle of training camp, I'm not in shape? Well, what the hell are you doing every day? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. And I surely doubt that Floyd has even said that. She's just an idiot airhead paraphrasing. What Floyd has said is that Conor's the bigger man, longer reach. He's younger. I haven't fought in 2 years. I'm older. I'm not the same fighter. These are the things that I've heard Floyd say. I haven't heard him say most of the things that she's alleging that he said. Right? And I seriously doubt that he would say, I'm not in shape.
Yes.
And to get people to watch. So you don't know what to believe until the fight actually happens.
Well, we can't know what to believe because you people in the media just make shit up.
It happens.
Totally agree there, Christine. Christine with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for...
I know what to believe, though. I believe whatever I believe what I see after I analyze it.
for stopping by.
The Herd Hardline
He's
news.
not only a boxer and not only a sparring partner was with Conor, he's a Showtime boxing analyst. He's joining us live right now in Brooklyn via the Coward Global Satellite Network. Paulie Malignaggi is joining us from his buddy's gym, which I got a look at it about 5 minutes ago, boy, does it look like a boxing gym. That is...
And let me say this, Paulie is by far the best boxing analyst on the planet today, and he's one of the great boxing analysts that I've ever heard.
That is great. Give your buddy right now. Give your buddy a shout out on our show. What's his name and where's the gym?
Yeah, my buddy's Paul Gassi, and it's a makeshift gym in his garage. You know, we kind of come here and just work out, you know, and just do stuff. And it's very boxing oriented. You know, it wouldn't be a gym that I hung out with and trained if it wasn't boxing oriented.
All right.
And let me say this too. You know, people a lot of times they make a lot of the so-called Sicilians come from mixed with blacks. The Moors conquered Sicily and all this other stuff. The Vikings conquered Sicily, okay, and the Vikings were so-called black men. One of the most famous Vikings that ruled Sicily was a man named Roger. All right, Roger of Sicily, who was a so-called black man. He ruled in Sicily for many years. I believe also was it his brother or his cousin was ruling in Jerusalem. Point being that people just make this big deal about so-called blacks ruling Sicily. You could look at Paulie and you could see that he has some rather distant but still very evident so-called black admixture, which you're going to see oftentimes with people from so-called people from that land, so-called Sicily, whatever you want to call it. In the ancient world, it was controlled by the Etruscans. We've already covered the Etruscans before, or the Tyrrhenians. But Sicily also was inhabited by the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks who were so-called black. Also, I believe the Phoenicians settled there as well. And the Phoenicians, and I've already mentioned this, were a mixture of the Canaanites and the Israelites of the Bible. All right. The Canaanites were descendants of Ham. They were, of course, the descendants of their forefather Canaan, who was the son of Ham. But they were known for being great mariners. They settled in Sicily. I believe it was like maybe 12th century BC, 11th century BC. But that's neither here nor there.
All right, just don't give away the address. We don't want to have people rushing a Brooklyn garage. Okay, let's start with this. I want to go to the sparring session, and you were unhappy with the video. Here's something that I noticed, Paulie. There was a referee in the ring during the sparring section. I've never seen that. Why was he there?
Let me say this first, even before Paulie answers. I mean, anybody who's really familiar with the history of boxing knows that oftentimes fighters will, in the build-up for a fight that they know will be intense, especially if they have not competed in such an intense environment for a long time, will try to replicate that type of scenario or that dynamic by bringing in a referee. Supposedly, Sugar Ray Leonard did it in the build-up while in training camp for his fight with Marvin Hagler. All right, sometimes they'll even use lighter gloves to try to replicate the feel of receiving rope punches. So McGregor is smart to do this.
Well, Colin, you know, I think Conor McGregor wants to get used to boxing rules, and so he hired a retired Hall of Fame referee in Joe Cortez to referee all the sparring sessions. So I think he wanted to kind of get used to the way things are in boxing. Because, you know, rules are different in mixed martial arts than they are in boxing, and he wanted to know what he's doing wrong, and he wanted to know what he's doing right and whatnot. So in every single sparring session he had, Joe Cortez was there. But I don't know, Conor was a little weird. He didn't just want him for the actual sparring. He wanted him for the stare downs, the instructions. I found it a little bit tactical.
You know, everybody's making a big deal about that flurry that Paulie got hit with. I mean, to me, the bigger deal is Conor's terrible punching technique. Like, this guy doesn't even know how to throw a punch. I mean, it really reflects poorly on the UFC that this guy is considered the best striker in the UFC and can barely execute a proper punch. His footwork is slow. I see him tiring, especially if he tries to utilize a game plan of consistent movement. I think he's going to realize when Mayweather starts cutting off the ring that whatever his game plan is most likely not going to work. And after that, I think he's going to start to panic.
A bit tacky at times, but as far as Cortez actually refereeing, that's the reason he was there for.
Okay, you're a natural boxer. Conor's a UFC guy who can do a little boxing. He's a lefty. His style is obviously quirky. Do you believe that his quirkiness, he's a little stronger, I think, perhaps, than Mayweather?
That's hard to judge. That's hard to gauge. I think that Conor has more girth around the shoulders and around the chest, but that's about it. That's not a good that is not a good gauge of strength. I've seen Mayweather get in the ring. I've never seen anybody bully him. He's an extremely strong man. All right, if Conor thinks he's going to get in there and bully him, he's in for a very rude awakening, especially for a guy who's not really an inside fighter anyway. Conor wants to hit you from distance.
Could it create problems for Floyd at all?
Listen, I think at the end of the day, if you're looking at it for style-wise, it's not a matchup. Style-wise, Conor can't match Floyd at all. But I think what you want to really look at for this matchup is the intensity. Conor's a younger guy. He's bringing that youthful intensity, and the intensity Conor brings can sometimes be a little bit of a change of pace.
Well, it could be a change of pace for you, Paulie, because quite frankly, as great of an announcer as you are, I've seen you get trucked many times. To be honest with you, Paulie's been put in the position to fight big name fighters numerous times in his career. Every time, not only has he lost, he's gotten his ass whooped terribly. All right. And he contends that he held his own with Conor in a sparring match, that he got the better of him. It wouldn't shock me because Conor's a novice. But that snippet that they showed, even if it's a snippet out of 12 rounds, that just wasn't good. Like, he was beating your ass around the ring. And that's just the fact of the matter. But every time I've seen Paulie in the ring in big fights, whether it was Amir Khan, Miguel Cotto, numerous big fights he's had, and he always gets his ass whooped.
You gotta understand, Floyd's fought some great fighters. He's beaten some great fighters, but all of them, to a degree, have had a little bit of respect for Floyd because they know how good he is and and what he can do. Conor is coming in a little bit as a rookie. Call it ignorance is bliss in a way, but in a way, it also makes it more exciting because he's not really coming with that kind of respect for him. So he's bringing up. If you're trying to match skills and styles, it's not a matchup. I mean, if you're thinking about that, then he's going to get his ass kicked. But it's not about that. It's also about the intensity and your game face. And
yeah, but you know what? Intensity is more of a factor in these fights when one of the protagonist, the one who's supposed to be attacking, has an attacking type of style. Conor does not have an attacking type of style. Conor is a counterpuncher, a lot like Floyd. All right, Conor waits a lot like Floyd, and he can't really change what he is. Now, if he tries to attack and goes overboard, then we're going to get a chance to see how much Floyd is aged, because Floyd is going to have the firepower to keep Conor off. He's also going to have the head movement and the reflexes to avoid a lot of flush shots. So we're going to find out a lot, especially early on in the fight.
From that degree, you see Floyd last night doing Jimmy Kimmel. You see Floyd out and about in the All Access shows that they're previewing the fights. I'm sure Floyd is training. Don't get me wrong. Floyd doesn't go to training camp without training. But, the intensity and the youthful intensity at that, obviously, is a different dimension that McGregor brings.
Okay.
Yeah, but Floyd has a history of going on talk shows even in his training camp because he doesn't really care. He'll go do a talk show and then fly back to his training camp and then work out at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I remember he did. Was it Jimmy Kimmel? No, it was Conan O'Brien. He did that show while he was training for Victor Ortiz, and Conan O'Brien even asked him, "Why are you here?" And he said, "Look, I got a private jet." He flew back on a private jet, went to his gym at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and got a full workout in. That's just how he does.
Okay, now you're a sparring partner, so your job is not to beat Conor, but when you hit him, does Conor have the chin? If Conor decides, my only way to win this is to go right after Floyd, and I'm going to take some shots, does Conor have a good chin?
Well, first off, Paulie's not the guy that you want to talk to if you're trying to evaluate how great a chin another fighter has. Because Paulie's not a power puncher, to put it lightly, to put it nicely. Paulie has about, 5, maybe 7 knockouts in his whole career. And he's fought over 40 fights. Paulie's not a guy who's known for having a strong punch. And as a matter of fact, not only does he not have a strong punch, he has terrible hands. So he's not the guy to really evaluate that. And I suspect that that's one of the reasons why they brought him into camp. Because they knew that he would not be able to hurt Conor. and they wanted Conor to get off on Paulie because Paulie had been talking so much shit about Conor in the last year. So they really had nothing to lose.
Conor's got a decent chin. I mean, you know, we're all wearing headgear and bigger gloves. Conor's got a decent chin. You know, but you mentioned the referee. One thing Conor has to understand, and you see that in that little clip that they sent out, it wasn't so much that he's landing shots, because most of the shots are missing. If anything, they've shot themselves in the foot, because all the dirty stuff he does, that the referee will actually warn him for. In that particular sparring session, there's no judges, but he lost 2 points away from that particular sparring session for fouls, for rabbit punching and hitting behind the head and pushing the head down. So where he really has to learn is not so much to take the shot or not take the shot, because you want to try not to get hit. What he really has to learn is to try to keep it within the rules, because he's a little bit confused as to what he's doing in there.
He might be confused, or he just might be a little too amped up, which I suspect will be a very strong potentiality when he goes to fight Floyd. A lot of these guys get overly hyped up to fight Floyd, and they end up being dirtier than they might mean to be. We saw it with Victor Ortiz. We saw it with Maidana. We even saw it with Canelo, who did a lot of little dirty tactics. Floyd, of course, also has his little tactics that he uses to try to throw guys off their game. But, I mean, we've seen it numerous times in some of these fights where guys, they come in a little too hyped to fight Floyd, and they end up doing dirty things. And I'm sure that Conor will succumb to that.
He's a little bit confused, especially on the inside. As you can see in that tape, he's trying to grab and push the head down. Inside fighting in boxing is very different than inside fighting than in mixed martial arts. You can't grab. You actually have to know what you're doing on the inside.
Well, Conor has no inside fight game. Like I said, he likes to fight at distance. He has long arms, and he likes to fight at distance. And it's not gonna do too well. It's not gonna end too well for him if he tries to overly attack Floyd, because Floyd is great fighting at distance. He's great fighting at range. He's great fighting on the inside. So,
John Horn is Mike Tyson's former manager, and he said yesterday, you know, when Paulie got mad, it's quite possible that he went into these sparring sessions and Conor doesn't really understand the culture of sparring partners, and maybe Paulie's role wasn't well defined. You had 2 sparring sessions with Conor. Was there confusion? Did you understand your role? Did he understand his entirely?
Yeah, I understand the role. Listen.
I don't think you understood the role, Paulie. You know why? Because I think that you thought all that shit that you spoke on TV, that you were going to get to his camp and he was just going to welcome you like another sparring partner, and you were going to sit there and try to act like you were going to teach him the art of boxing. He didn't want to learn the art of boxing from you. He wanted to whoop your ass. And whether he did or not, that has to be evaluated based on watching the entire 24 rounds of sparring that you guys did, or however many rounds it was. But Paulie was foolish to go into that arena, into their camp, and think that he was going to be treated fairly. He's never dealt with UFC guys before. Not saying that all UFC guys are dirty, but Conor had an axe to grind on Paulie, and you know, it is what it is.
Listen, I've been in a lot of training camps. You know, I was an ex-world champion. A lot of sparring is very violent, so I don't mind the intensity of the sparring. That's never a problem. The problem is video editing and whatnot. If you're doing that good, why are you trying to prove to the world how good you are? Just put the videos out. Don't edit them. Leave it concurrently running 20, 30 seconds in a row. If you have the advantage, if you're saying you have the advantage for 12 rounds straight, as they're saying, leave 20 or 30 seconds running concurrently. Don't have to edit in from one round to the other and try to mix in little highlights.
Well, why would he do that when they have a $500 million fight on the line? Why would he show you, you know, I mean, no disrespect, you know, you look like an almost 40-year-old reject from the Jersey Shore. Why would he show you getting some shots off on him when they have a $500 to $800 million fight on the line? They're trying to convey that he can get in there and battle with a real boxer, and that's what they proved with that footage. Bottom line, whether it's whether it's a true tale of what occurred or not. You know, sports is a narrative like everything else in this society.
Just do it the right way. I feel like it's almost, I've mentioned this adjective, it's almost adorable, it's almost cute, where, you know, he's trying so hard to convince the public, I can do this, I belong in this fight. You don't have to try so hard, little buddy. You know, I want to give him a hug and tell him it's going to be all right. But, you know, it's really not going to be all right if he keeps doing this. So he's got to focus on the fight. He's got to stop trying to convince everybody that he can do it.
Look, I like Paulie. I've said that already. I like him as an announcer. But Paulie has a history of talking major shit and then getting in there and getting his ass totally whooped. I remember way back in the day, maybe like 2005, I called Paulie on New York One. Here in New York, they have a station called New York One. He was on there maybe like 1 o'clock in the morning talking mad shit. I was like, who is this dude? He was on New York One with, with all the gel and spikes in his hair. And he was talking crazy shit about Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto's overrated. Miguel Cotto can't fight. This is before me. This is when Miguel was still, kind of a prospect. But I believe that he already had the 140-pound title, one of the titles, at 140. So they finally ended up fighting in 2006. Miguel Cotto broke his orbital bone. He broke a couple of his ribs. Like, Miguel Cotto beat the shit out of Paulie. And that's been a consistent in Paulie's career, that whenever he's gotten there with top guys, he's gotten his ass whooped. That's Amir Khan just tore his ass totally up. So Paulie likes to fashion himself like this great pure boxer, and the media has helped him fashion his image that he's a great pure boxer, but he's really not. What he is he falls in line with a lot of the modernized Italian boxers that talk a lot of shit and get their ass whooped. He reminds me a lot of the character, the little spoof, the little skit that Eddie Murphy did in Raw. About the Italians that go see Rocky and think that they can whoop a black man's ass. That's what Paulie reminds me of. But I like Paulie. Paulie has a lot of heart, great chin, and a lot of moxie as they call it. But no, he can't get in there with top guys. Not at all.
And show everybody he can do it on Fight Night, because editing videos and mixing and matching footage is not what you're going to be able to do in a live fight against Floyd Mayweather. So, like I said, I think
it's not going to matter. He ain't going to be able to do shit with Floyd unless he get lucky and Floyd get old. Floyd's going to embarrass his boy unless he gets lucky or Floyd gets old.
I think he needs a hug, but at the end of the day, he needs some strong advice. And the yes men in his corner need to stop being cheerleaders and being trained, and they start being trainers.
His yes men don't know shit about boxing. So all they can do, the best thing that they can do is be yes men. The worst thing that they could do is try to teach him how to actually box, especially since they don't know. You can't teach a guy how to beat Floyd Mayweather in 8 weeks. That shit just ain't gonna happen.
He did land a left with you, but I said it looked like you were mimicking Floyd with a shoulder roll. Was that a legit punch, or were you just trying to...
No, that wasn't a legit punch, Colin. That was CGI. As the woke hoax brothers in my comments like to say, everything that they don't like is CGI. Paulie didn't like that punch. It was CGI.
Trying to mimic Floyd and leave yourself vulnerable.
Well, no, in some spots I'm trying to mimic the looks Floyd gives, and then in some spots I'm boxing. In that particular shot that he landed, it was actually the last round. It was 12 rounds. We had boxed 12 rounds. So he took a clip from round 12 where I was actually tired. I wasn't in 12-round shape. I mean, I've never heard of a sparring partner doing 12 rounds, but I'm not a complaint.
It depends. I believe Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali used to go crazy rounds. One time, if I remember correctly, there was a story where Larry Holmes was going around talking about how he was handling Ali in sparring. So Ali came back after he heard about it. He came back and he told Larry, me and you. And they went something like 45 minutes in a row, no breaks. And they said Ali beat the shit out of Larry Holmes in that sparring match. It happens. A lot of times people don't understand. When fighters spar, a lot of times they're just trying to get work, meaning they're trying to work on their weaknesses. They're trying to get their body correct. They're trying to acclimate themselves to taking punishment. They're trying to put themselves in different scenarios that they may run into in a fight. A lot of fighters are not trying to beat down their sparring partners. Now, sometimes as the camp builds, just to make sure that they're sharp, they'll tee off on some sparring partners. It happens. But a lot of the elite fighters, who are, whose game is more mental than physical, they're more concerned about putting themselves in different situations and seeing how their body and their mind reacts. That's how Ali or Floyd Mayweather is. They're not in there just trying to hurt sparring partners.
So I did it. So the last couple of rounds, I fully admitted he had gotten the advantage. For the first 10, he probably didn't have the advantage, though.
He probably didn't or he didn't, Paulie. Which one is it, brother? I mean, and, let me not say brother because I don't want nobody in my comments. Well, Paulie's he's Italian, so why are you calling him brother? Sorry, it was a slip, okay? It was a slip. I don't know what Paulie is, to be honest with you. But anyway, getting back to the point. I hope that Paulie's not talking all this shit about how he could have had the advantage in the first 10 rounds, and then some footage come out of him getting treated like Martin Lawrence when he got in there and fought Tommy Hearns back in the day, because Paulie's that type of guy. I was like, well, when he showed the earlier rounds, I was getting him, and then they showed the earlier rounds and Paulie's head, was on a damn swivel just getting spun around.
But so that clip was taken from round 12, and then it was mixed in from a round earlier, and to try to make it look like that was the shot that did the initial damage, because the shot where I went down, there was no shots that landed. So the sequence where I went down was a lot of missing and slipping and pushing down. So I think that left hand that landed, they needed to tie that clip into the other clip so they make it look like there was a shot that landed. But it was a decent shot. Don't get me wrong. You're in sparring. You can't play in the mud without getting dirty. If you're sparring in the ring, especially for 36 minutes, some shots are going to land from both sides. At day's end, it was a decent shot. I do think Conor has to learn to turn punches over, but more so than that.
Yeah, he slaps a lot of his punches, man. His punching technique is not good at all, Conor.
So than that, I think he needs to learn how to keep it clean. He's going to get himself disqualified if he keeps punching behind the head.
He may look to get disqualified if he's getting his ass whooped bad enough. McGregor looks like the type who will look to get disqualified.
And pushing the head down. He needs to understand that inside fighting in boxing is different than inside fighting in mixed martial arts. And the rabbit punches are fouls in both sports, so he already knows that as it is.
Christine mentioned this. She was watching Kimmel or something last night, and Floyd's like going around saying, hey, I'm going to change my style. And I'm like, that's a bunch of hooey. We don't believe that because we don't think Floyd cares about anybody but Floyd.
Well, you think it's a bunch of hooey because you don't know shit about boxing. And most of these guys never even saw Floyd fight until he fought De La Hoya. All right. If you understand boxing and you've watched Floyd fight, you know that he has multiple styles that he uses based on who he's fighting, based on the need, and based on the scenario. Certain guys he's aggressive with and he approaches. Other guys, he's defensive with. It depends on what you're bringing and what he needs to do during a fight.
When you hear that Floyd's going to mix it up with Conor, what do you? Is that just selling tickets to you?
To some people, might be selling tickets. Here's how I look at it. I've seen many Floyd Mayweather fights. I followed Floyd throughout his career.
Paulie's actually a huge Floyd fan. Paulie said many years ago, over a decade ago, he said that he thought Floyd would have beat Ray Robinson. And he said, I don't care if people get mad.
Will give you pockets of aggression if he doesn't respect your style. If he has a guy who he respects his style, Canelo Alvarez or Manny Pacquiao, guys that he feels like, oh man, you know what, I got to be on my back foot with this guy and be really alert because he can hurt me. Then Floyd will fight a defensive fight, counter-punching, use the skill set part of boxing. But there has been fights in Floyd Mayweather's career where he knows he can break you. He starts to realize he doesn't have to respect your style, your power. Even if you have power, you have to know how to land it. And if at a certain point Floyd comes to the realization that there's nothing to respect, even if you can punch. He was starting to walk down Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz, to me, is a bigger puncher than Conor McGregor.
Let me say this. There was a stretch in Floyd's career where he was intent on trying to walk everybody down. All right? There was about maybe 3-4 straight fights in a row where he was trying to walk everybody down. The Shane Mosley fight, the Victor Ortiz fight, the Miguel Cotto fight. If people remember, there was that little stretch where he was trying to walk everybody down, where people were starting to say in the media, oh, Floyd has lost his legs. He doesn't move like he used to. And then, the Miguel Cotto fight came. He showed he had his legs again, but he also tried to walk Miguel down in that fight. And that fight, he took a lot of punishment, and that changed a lot of his approach. And that's when he decided that he was going to get rid of Roger as his head trainer and bring back in his father. All right, and he just started to restrict Roger to the mitts because I think that he started to believe that Roger was making him a little too aggressive.
He was starting to walk him down in the last round where they fought, So he started to walk down Zab Judah, another good fighter, another good southpaw.
Absolutely. He broke Zab down mentally first, mentally and physically. He understood that Zab is a guy who was going to panic when he gets pressured. And he really broke down Zab.
So there comes a point in Floyd Mayweather, in a Floyd Mayweather fight where he believes that if he doesn't have to respect your game, if he doesn't have to respect your boxing ability, he will start to walk you down. And his fights have proven this. But, of course, it's all going to depend on what Conor brings to the table. If Conor enforces some respect, Floyd will take the defensive approach. So
I don't see how Conor can enforce some respect unless he just catches him with something perfect early in the fight, like either round 1 or early in round 2. I just don't see it. I could see Floyd coming out very aggressive early just to see what Conor has and seeing how Conor's going to react. I could see Conor trying some wild, crazy tactic that they made up in camp. on Floyd, and after Floyd nullifies it, I could see Conor starting to panic, because Conor's not the type of guy who wants to get embarrassed. He's not the type of guy who deals with embarrassment very well, you know, even as a novice. So I could see him panicking and trying to get out of the fight some type of way, whether by fouling or something of that nature.
So I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. As a matter of fact, Conor's never been a guy who's been a boxer for a long time. So I think he has to enforce the respectability through his intensity, because he's not going to do it through his skill set.
Do you think Conor will at least be respectable? And if he is, would you fight him after that?
You know, I don't know. Like I said, I think if you look at skill for skill, this guy doesn't even know how to shadow box. So I think he has to bring something different to the table. He's been trained in a little bit of a different way. I personally didn't agree with what they were doing in the gym, but you know, it's not up to me to say that. On Fight Night, we'll see if he looks like a genius or if he looks like an idiot.
See, that's part of the problem. Paulie went into their camp trying to act like he was going to be a trainer and an advisor, and no, they said no, you're here to get your ass whooped. All right, that's why they made him fight fresh off the plane. All that shit shocked him. No, once again, Paulie thought that all the shit talking that he was doing about Conor, that they would understand it. All right, those guys are from Ireland. They come from a very different culture. You know, they come from a culture where you talk shit. Okay, we're gonna fight right now. You know, in America, people talk shit, and then see each other and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Oh, other places, they don't get down like that. So, you know, Paulie had to come to that understanding very quickly.
Like I said, if I had to judge on skill for skill, this is a wash. This fight is a mismatch. But I look at the intensity level of it.
I think somebody needs to tell Paulie what a wash is. A wash is not a mismatch.
Level of a youthful guy, and I look at the fact that I still think Floyd Mayweather, although he trains, is still underestimating him a little bit. Like, why are you doing Jimmy Kimmel a week and a half out of the fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you traveling to LA when you're supposed to be in training camp? Why are you moving around this much? You gotta get.
He's done that his whole career. Floyd is not you, bro. He doesn't care. His body basically does what he wants it to do. And like I keep saying, that's really going to be the test for this fight. Is Floyd's body going to react the same? Is it going to react the same to him training 5-6 hours a day at odd hours and doing all these other things? You know,
you got to get your game face on, because at the end of the day, you can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have your game face on, somebody's intensity can devour you, even if you're better than that person. So it's important to have the psychological approach be correct, as well as the physical approach, and we'll find out if Floyd has that next week.
And, you know, to give Paulie the benefit of the doubt, Paulie's a very shrewd man. He also could have said what he said about Floyd not training properly, possibly, or not being focused, because he's also trying to sell the fight. He is friends with Floyd, or at least friendly. And it's very, very possible that he threw that little tidbit in there of pseudo-criticism to try to incite or inspire more interest in the fight.
And would you fight him if he's at least respectable? Would you fight him?
If he's respectable, yeah, of course I will fight him. You know, that's not a problem at all. I think at the end of the day, when two guys don't like each other, especially him, he had the power to not speak about me at all, not put me in the media, and he had the power to make this go away. You know, he's the guy that everybody's paying attention to right now. Instead, he keeps putting up pictures of me on his Instagram. He keeps putting up videos he's editing up on social media and whatnot. So in a way, I think subtly he's trying to keep me relevant in all this. You know, I was.
No, he's not trying to keep you relevant. He's just using you as a pawn. That's what he used you for from the very start. And that's not to say that he won't fight Paulie. He very well could, especially if the money's right. All right. I think that Conor sees that I think that he understands that the piece of the pie that boxers get is much easier to get and is much greater. And that's why the UFC model is really not built to last. You have all these media pundits and fans who think that the UFC is so great. We always get the fights that we want when we want it. No, you're getting the fight that you want when you want it, because these guys have a slave mind. They don't understand money. They don't understand how rich Dana White is getting off of their blood, sweat, and tears. And you're going to see a transition in the UFC eventually, where it wouldn't shock me if they go through a labor strike, where these guys finally stand up and stop being used.
I wasn't supposed to be relevant in all this. I was just one of the commentators. I'm an ex-retired fighter. But at the end of the day, he's brought this up. I'm obviously going to speak about what really happened, because you can only edit so much. You have 36 minutes of running video, and you can't even put together a 20-second straight concurrently running clip of you dominating the action. And you're going to try to say you dominated 12 rounds. I think it's a little funny. I think it's a little tacky, but like I said, I also think it's a little bit cute, because he's trying so hard. he's like the little engine that could. You know, he's demanding attention. Like, he really wants to convince everybody that he can do this.
Well, that's his job. It's his job to convince people that he can do it. They're trying to make sure that they can maximize the earning potential of this fight. And you're the one who put yourself in a position to be used by getting your ass whipped, even if it was for 5 seconds. All right? That happened to you, Paulie. It's on camera. And you never acknowledged anything like these type of exchanges before the video footage came out. These are just facts. And, you know, you might have fought 11 other rounds where you look like damn Pernell Whitaker, but I doubt it. Because I've seen you in big fights before, and you get hit with a lot of flush shots just like these. And while you were in shape.
If he looks decent, yeah, I'll get in there and kick his ass. But if not, you know, then Floyd will do it next week, and I don't think anybody will want to watch him box again. It's really up to him. Like I said, the thing he has going for him is the intensity. I think that's what you really have to look at when you look at Conor McGregor, because for skill, even established professional fighters don't match Floyd Mayweather's skill. But the intensity of a 40-year-old usually doesn't match the intensity of a 29-year-old, and that's where you have a difference here.
Why do you think he's trying to keep you relevant?
Yeah, why do you think he's trying to keep you relevant?
Paulie did a LeVar Ball on her.
I think subtly he wants to box again after this. I really do. You know, he's got some very tough mandatory fights coming up in the UFC if he goes back to the UFC. Mixed martial arts is not federally regulated the way they can break up the money, so he can make more money boxing because there's federal regulations in boxing to where they can't keep all the money. In the UFC, Dana White can keep almost all the money. He can pay you what he wants to pay you, and you can't even take him to court because there's no rules regulating that sport.
Tell it like it is, Paulie. See, this is why they don't like guys like this. Paulie Malignaggi, he will break it down, and he will go into the money aspect of combat sports, and he will lay out the difference between boxing and the UFC. And these are things that people don't want to hear because the media wants to portray Dana White as this savior for combat sports and this guy who has brought order. And really, all he's done is really take advantage of a bunch of former wrestling meatheads, to be quite honest with you.
In boxing, if a promoter is keeping all the money, you can take him to court and fight him on it. You know what I'm saying? So there's more federal regulations in boxing. He can keep more of the money he generates in boxing than he can in the UFC. And the UFC, not only would he have to make less money, he's having pretty tough fights coming up. Like that guy Khabib and that guy Ferguson, they're not playing around. They're waiting for McGregor to come back very, very hungry. There's even guys like Jose Aldo that want a rematch. Nate Diaz wants a third fight. I don't think Conor is really looking forward to going back to seeing those guys. So I think he can make more money boxing.
I agree. He's not looking forward to going back and seeing those guys. Not for that pay cut that he's about to take. I mean, you make $100 million, at least on paper, allegedly, as being reported, he's making $100 million. But we already know the UFC is probably taking, 60-70% of that. And, then he has to pay taxes off of that. So, I mean, that's an old scam, and that's how business has been run forever for people who are always trying to figure out why boxers have tax problems. It's not so much because of their spending, even though sometimes their spending is bad. It's because they're getting taxed on how much they've reportedly been paid as opposed to how much they've actually been paid. And that's the real problem. A lot of these agencies, like these third parties, they have the check made out to the boxer so that there's no paper trail coming back to them in regards to how much they got, how much they're getting. So the boxer is getting taxed for everything when he really should only be taxed for how much he's actually receiving. And I could see Conor ending up in that type of trouble very soon because Dana White and the UFC, they're at least taking half, and he's gonna be taxed basically for everything.
And he's probably looking for an opponent that he can kind of vibe with and match up with. And you don't want to put him in with a prime world champion because you say like an Errol Spence. Errol Spence would put Conor in a hospital for a couple of weeks.
Oh no, Errol Spence might kill him. And I'm being honest with you, Errol Spence might kill Conor McGregor.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to kind of match up correctly. I'm an ex-world champion. I have a name, but maybe I'm a little bit past my prime. It's kind of what he's trying to do with Floyd Mayweather as well. We'll see how it works out. But he's got
a little bit past your prime. Paulie, come on, man. Your last big win was the rematch with Juan Diaz. I don't even know how many years ago that was.
But he's got to look at least respectable next week. Otherwise, it's all for nothing.
Paulie Malignaggi, good talking to you, man. It's I enjoyed all your commentary here. Thank you.
Thanks, Colin. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Bada bing.
Yeah, that was good. That's why he's a commentator on the air.
He sounds like an amazing commentator. And you know what? He came across so honest very humble. The fact that even at the end there, he was willing to say, I'm past my prime, that's probably why he wants to match up. It makes me believe everything that he said.
Yeah, Paulie's always been known for that, man. He tells the truth. I mean, at least he tells his truth. It is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. Back in a second.
But anyway, that was Paulie giving his testimony on what has occurred between him and Conor. Peace.